Sawona ke baba Mxadana.
Sawubona, sawusiphileni njani?
Right, mina nguthola sizwa kaNdlovu from Choral magazine.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I feel honored.
Hi.
Kuba kwi-presence abantu abafana nawe. Can you just introduce yourself a bit? Well, just for the sake of interview, yabo.
Okay.
Introduce
Alright.
yourself and tell us your role. We require.
Okay. Igama lami George Gobinga Mxadana. I am the founder and conductor of Imilonji Choral Society, which is now in its 34th year. And I've been conductor from the beginning up until now. The choir has traveled extensively, both locally and abroad. And we were there during the time of the apartheid. We are still there even after the apartheid. And we're still going stronger in terms of our musical objectives.
Just on that one, Baba Mxadana, what is keeping you going so strong for more than my age?
I think we've been very fortunate by getting people that have been very committed, and people that have come to the choir with the purpose of coming to make music. The people that are coming to the choir in order to make friends and to grow the choir from what it was to what it is today. And I also want to say one of the advantages that we've had is that we have a very, very strong administration and management team that ensures that the choir continues to be on target in everything that we are doing. And that really has been a blessing, for us as a choir. I will also want to say to you, some of the members in the choir have been here for 34 years.
Amazing.
The majority of people that have been there for 34
Been here
years.
from the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they own this. It's in their blood.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So, but it can't be smooth sailing. 34 years. So, briefly, challenges that you faced along the way, one or two challenges, and how you managed to overcome them.
Challenges we've had quite a number of challenges, and one of the challenges is that as and when people grow older, as and when people grow older, they leave the choir. So we've got to recruit new people to come into the choir, and the downside of that is that when people leave, they leave with all the knowledge of the music and the repertoire that we have. So new people that are coming in, you're always having to start, from scratch, But fortunately, we do try as much as possible that as and when we get new members, we look at the new repertoire. The advantages of that is that the choir develops and grows musically. We don't continue presenting the same songs all the time. So we are at a stage right now that we've got to reinvent ourselves every year, and that is one of the reasons that the choir has stayed together for 34 years. Because remember, if the choir becomes a boring scene, then you lose members. So we've had activities that are really keeping the choir to say, look, there are challenges. And I also want to share with you that when you miss a rehearsal in Imilonji to Choral Society, you become absolutely lost. Because people will miss the rehearsal, they come the following day, they find that the choir has done so much work and progressed so much. So it's imperative that people ensure that they come to the rehearsals, at all rehearsals. As far as attendance is concerned, we are boasting of in the region of about 85% of attendance at rehearsals, at all rehearsals and performances, on time.
Oh, okay, talk about discipline. So we're talking about 80%. Give us roughly how the strength of your choir, how big is it?
We are at the moment 45.
45.
Yeah.
That's good. So you talk about reinventing yourselves. The vision of the choir, it can't be the same for all these years. So how do you decide, or who decides on, okay, now because the times are changing, or this is what is happening around us, or this is what we want to achieve, let's take this direction now. How is that, how do you keep on making your vision be relevant throughout these years?
Yeah. You will appreciate the fact that in the past we had one form of a struggle, but we've got another form of struggle at the moment.
Yes.
So we're still having that struggle, but it's also of a different sort. I also want to say we've got two committees in the choir. We've got the management committee that looks at the policy, and that looks at the growth of the choir. But you also have another committee that is called operational committee. The operational committee that looking at the day-to-day sort of activities. So the core of the choir comes from the management committee. Those are the people that are not singing, but these are people that are really giving the vision of the choir. Where are we? Where are we going? What are the sort of things that we should be doing, to bring about a change? But the important thing as well is relevance in terms of what is happening around us.
Yes, yes. Okay, no, so there's a different levels of management in the choir and strategic, operational. That is so nice. Okay, now let's talk a bit about the choral fraternity in the country. I know you've been asked this a lot, but I'll ask you again. What is your view on what is happening in the choral fraternity in the country? What is not happening? What should be happening? And how do we try and influence change? Or you guys are this beaming light, shining example of how to sustain a choral choir that is purely choral? And how can the choirs, what can you say to the choirs, babogegini, to try and keep themselves going?
I think one of the big problems that I have personally seen is that if choirs don't have a direction in terms of where they're going and the style of music that they would like to sing, remember that choral music has got also many other sort of facets and departments in it as well. Now, for instance, I'll give you an example. When somebody says to me, Imilonji kantu must go and do opera, I'm saying I don't have material for opera. So it will be absolutely not wise for me to tackle opera. There are other choirs that are doing that. Now, what I find is the danger in the country at the moment is that everybody wants to do something and people don't look at the resources that they have. You have to look at the resources that you have, then you can be relevant. But if you're going to try and do things for which you do not have resources, you are bound to fail. So I think it is very, very important that first and foremost, choirs must be able to look at themselves, what materials they have, what resources they have, and then decide to put their repertoire around what they have.
Oh, that's a very good advice. Thanks for that, Mxadana. Now, let's talk a bit about today's event. Why? What is happening? Why, after Mandela Day, Mandela Month, Mandela Week, what is happening? What are you trying to achieve today?
Ihlombe is organized by the Classical Movement, which is an organization in the United States of Africa. They came to South Africa about 7 years ago, and ever since they have an Ihlombe event festival every year, and they invite choirs from all over the world. Now today, as you can see, we've got a choir from Sri Lanka and then 2 choirs from Zimbabwe. The other previous years, we've had choirs from Australia, we've had choirs from the States, we've had the choirs from Europe, and so we're all over the place. Now, the good thing about this Ihlombe festival is that we're beginning to share culturally. They come out and then they give us what they do best, and then we give them what we do best as well. But there's also an opportunity for choirs in South Africa to be invited to the serenade. The Ihlombe is in South Africa, but other festivals organized by the classical movement, there's one that is called the Serenade, which Imilonji has been invited to in the States 2 years ago. We went to the United States of America, and then we were participating in that festival. The good thing about Ihlombe is that we begin to share culturally. Now, after this event today, always after the Ihlombe event, we have a workshop which I'm running. The workshop is based on the African dancing, African drums, some of the customs, some of the songs, traditional songs, where they originate from, the difference between songs that are sung by the Basotho and the Amazulu, Amaxhosa, etc. And the choir in this workshop, they change and put on the attire of the different tribal groups.
Okay. Before we miss a lot, now tell me where to for Imilonji kantu from here.
We are at the moment working on a project where we want to look at the different composers that we have within the country and being able to try and preserve their music. You will know that when you go out to a record shop, you want music by Handel, you want music by Bach, music by Monteverdi, and so on. You find it very easily. We don't have the same situation in our own composers. So what we're trying, we are recording songs of different composers and want to make sure that these can be preserved. The first one that we did was, as as Jay calls us, What's Your Music, we recorded most of his songs, and you'll be delighted to know that that music has now been orchestrated for a full orchestra, and Imilonji Kantu has started working on that recording. Hopefully, if every